Greetings, children of the screen, your friendly neighborhood Nerd Scum here once again, and today we are going to be diving into Crossed Badlands number 51, the second installment in the Thin Red Line story arc. If you missed my coverage on the previous issue, then a link for that's going to be popping up right now, so make sure and check that out, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next installment. So, with that out of the way, and with no further ado, let's once again enter the world of mayhem, the world of madness and macabre. The world of... We open on the bunker facility where two police officers standing guard can overhear Harry from inside the facility verbally accosting Dr. Chopra. I received an emergency call from my second team leader. I have to ascertain the PM security status now. I know that. That's what I have to talk to you about, what happened to your team. Dr. Chopra asks the men to follow her, and they move deeper into the bunker facility as she explains to them everything they missed from the first issue, events regarding Patient Zero, the outbreak, and Alistair making the decision for the Prime Minister to come to this facility. Then explaining that they believe that the infection to be transmitted through fluid exchange or physical contact, she goes on to explain that as the Prime Minister arrived, Patient Zero managed to break confinement, and Tosh had to physically restrain him. Later, during the examination of Patient Zero, Tosh attacked a lab attendant. The other members of the Prime Minister's security team stepped in to try to restrain him, but very quickly they had all been infected and she was forced to seal the room. Harry and his men look on at horror through the observation window at their comrades, nude, bloodied, covered in a rash, and absolutely mad. This is what it does to them, to everyone except apparently the first patient. Peering through the window with sadness in his eyes, Taft questions, "There's only 3 of them. What happened to young Maxwell?" The doctor responds that he's in there somewhere, that the others have been using him. Suddenly Maxwell jumps up, slamming against the glass, startling the men. He's beaten, bloodied, and rashed up with his eyes and most of his teeth missing. Already knowing the answer, not really wanting it, Harry asks the question anyway. "Do you mean... are you talking about what I think you're talking about?" Fighting back tears, the doctor responds that she's afraid so. Even with everything he's seen and done and been through, Harry just can't understand. What would make a man... Dr. Chopper tells him that they just don't know. They've done tests and taken samples, but they can't find anything. Having no more answers to give, she asks Harry if he would like to see the Prime Minister now. To which he emphatically responds, "Yes, I would like to see the Prime Minister now." The Prime Minister hangs his head, chin resting in his hand as he murmurs, "They were protecting me." Harry reminds him that that was their job, then tells them that their priority now has to be getting him out of there and back to London immediately. Alistair interjects, saying that this is the safest place for the Prime Minister, as the countryside could be crawling with infected. Harry questions this to the doctor, who tells him that they just don't know. At least one entire village is missing, and with Patient Zero, they don't know when he was infected, or where he came from, where he was in between then and when he was picked up, or who he might have interacted with along the way. Hell, they don't even know his name. The Prime Minister asks if she's put any thought into about how fast this virus could potentially spread, to which she just responds that, "Hey, you've seen it for yourself." The Prime Minister then turns to Harry, asking what he thinks he should do about this. Alistair becomes infuriated by this, demanding, "What are you asking him for?" Ignoring the hostility, Harry points out that Alistair has a point. He is not the Prime Minister's advisor. Alistair then interrupts once more, insisting that no further discussion take place in front of Harry. The Prime Minister shuts that shit down immediately, informing Alistair that he's not the one who gets to insist on things. The Prime Minister wants to know what the military high command is going to suggest he do, and he knows that Harry can give him that answer right now. Harry tells him that they need to call in a chopper to remove him to a more secure location, declare a state of emergency, and use the army to quarantine the region. Alistair dismisses it as the Prime Minister claims there'd be panic, all manner of unrest. Harry tells him to simply suppress it. Alistair tries to interject again, but Harry just puts forward the question, or do you want what's happening next door in a major city? The Prime Minister thanks everyone for their input, saying that he has to think about this decision, but to go ahead and call the chopper. Off to one side of the room, Harry and the doctor talk. Earlier on, you said you couldn't ID your patient, correct? Have you asked him? The first thing he said was that he was sorry, but when they asked, he didn't know what for. Beyond a suspicion of enormous wrongdoing, his mind would yield no other worthwhile details. Glancing at his bandaged limbs, he asked about whoever treated him, and the woman dropped her gaze just long enough to break his heart. They asked him what his name might be. He didn't know, he said. Patient Zero says that he gave them the samples, that he'll give them anything. He just needs to figure this out. He needs to know as bad as they do. Patty enters, informing Harry that the helicopter is on its way and that Alistair's throwing a fit about it, to which Harry responds, "Good." Patient Zero asks Harry his name, telling him that he knows Harry is killed. He can smell them on him, can smell the stink of their screams. Dr. Chopper questions what he means, asking how he can smell anything in the containment room, to which he fragmentedly responds, seeming to begin to shut down. "I can't talk now. I want to, but I can't. I have to make it go away again." A few moments later, in a storage room, Alistair once again attempts to confront Harry, which goes about as well as it did the first time. Alistair, standing defensively with his arms crossed, reaffirms his position that this is the safest place to be. But Harry quickly derails that, questioning Alistair point blank if before he made the decision to bring the Prime Minister here, had he talked to Dr. Chopper to confirm that it was safe. Alistair becomes flustered, stammering as he responds, "You mean in terms of, well, I mean, obviously he wasn't secure, she must have," but Harry derails him again. "I'll stop you right there, because she remembers no such conversation. If you had spoken directly to her, she would have said that she wanted to speak to the Prime Minister by phone, but under no circumstances would he be brought anywhere near this facility." Still clearly flustered and beginning to bite his nails, Alistair responds with, That's her version." Harry tells him, yeah, he'd be real interested in hearing John Duff's version too, but just about the only thing he's not doing right now is talking. Then questions if Alistair has anything else to say in his defense other than how safe he thought it would be. Alistair exclaims, "Defense?" asking Harry what he thinks they're in the middle of. Harry tells him outright that he thinks that Alistair's responsible for the death of 4 of his men and endangering the Prime Minister. So whenever they get out of whatever this is, but he's cut off by Alistair, who finally just completely loses his composure, blurting out, "Oh, you and your precious fucking Prime Minister." This pushes Alistair into a full-blown rant, telling Harry that the Prime Minister didn't listen to him. The Prime Minister doesn't really listen to anybody. He gets opinions and circle jerks, but never makes a decision, exclaiming that this is what he's up against every fucking day of the week. To which Harry just matter-of-factly responds that that's your job, and whatever I might have said to him earlier, mine is his protection. But then they are interrupted by Taft, who bursts into the storage room calling for Harry. Harry tries to wave him away, but Taft ignores it, stating, "Patty wants you now." Harry, Taft, and Jock enter the office where Patty is finishing up a phone call, stating, "Okay, we'll stand by here." Harry questions, "Heli?" But Patty informs him that the helicopter's not coming. It got shot down by a RAF tornado. Pilot had been behaving strangely, then opened fire on the helicopter before contact was lost with both of them. Harry states that they're not hesitating anymore. They're moving the Prime Minister down into the bunker and sealing him in. They move to secure the Prime Minister, but find him in a panic state, crowded around a laptop with Alistair and Dr. Chopra. Christ, Jesus Christ! Dr. Chopra then informs Harry that the situation has changed. Whatever it is, but Dr. Chopra cuts him off. They found the people from that village. The media found them. Sky News got a hold of the story. They've beaten us to the punch. Now they're broadcasting all over the country. The news coverage from the sky shows the missing villagers all filing out across the countryside en masse. Snarling at the image, Alistair seethes. "No state of emergency means we're not in control. The story gets out. Total PR disaster for starters." To which the Prime Minister spits back, pointing out that Alistair was staunchly against that whenever it was Harry who was suggesting it. But all Alistair can do is scream, "You should have done something! Anything!" Strategically, Dr. Chopra pushes in between the two men. "Excuse me." The Skycam footage zooms in on a collapsed man on his knees as a man and a woman bludgeon him to death with rocks. The Skycam anchor exclaims, "My God, did you see that? Oh my God! Up at the front! Get us to the front of the crowd!" The image goes fuzzy and the Prime Minister questions what's happening. With wide eyes, Harry responds, "They're moving in for a better shot. Prime Minister, it's time to act." and the image from the sky cam becomes clear. The entire village procession trudging through the countryside towards a cliff and over the edge. As the bodies tumble, our characters in the country are forced to watch in horror. And that is where this issue leaves us off. And there you have it, children of the screens, the next exciting installment of people talking in various locations. I mean, crossed the thin red line. Okay, I'm joking, it's kind of true, but despite this still manages to be a pretty strong issue. Similar to the previous issues, the characters are well developed, with appropriate focus pushing our leads to the forefront. The conversations that are going on are important and well utilized to indicate a sense of rising tension. Again, my only real critiques here are the extent to which the decompression is at play. This is the second issue of slow-moving setups, well done though they may be. I personally don't mind this, and I think that it works for the more in-depth story that the overall story arc is executing, but in terms of the strength of an individual issue, it's definitely a mark against it. And the other being that this book has a very serious case of telling and not showing. There are multiple walk and talk scenes like this is a fucking Aaron Sorkin TV show where they are explaining things that happen off panel. And I get what they're going for, but given this is a comic book of characters only talking about things, it would have been very easy and very nice for them to show us some of those things as the characters are talking about them. It just would have made this a much more engaging reading experience. Now, I don't think that either of those things are necessarily huge problems in of themselves, but together they definitely leave this issue feeling like it's lacking something. The art really manages through body language and facial features to convey the rising stress in each of the characters. The posing within the individual frames in each scene, and the use of characters breaking through gutter panels really helps drive home the tension of the narrative. My one main critique in terms of the art is that I have never seen a hazmat suit fit so fucking well. There is a lot of crazy shit going on in this book and in this universe, but the sexy-ass doctor lady who is wearing the frickin' April O'Neil fetish hazmat suit that is like skin tight in all the right places, that shit pushes this universe just a little bit far beyond believability for me. So all in all, it's a pretty good issue, man, with its only real faults being a little bit of fan service and some other things that are very much just symptoms of the fact that this is very clearly written for the trade and long-term readers as opposed to single-issue digestion. And while I'm happy with it, and I think other Crossed fans will be happy with it as well, the story arc is one that I've heard many times posed as a great jumping-on point for new readers into the Crossed franchise, and I am not so sure about that. For many modern comic book readers, if they get 2 issues into a story and this little has happened, they're out of there, man. Yes, it is a prequel, but that does not necessarily mean that it's the best starting place. I would say the obvious starting place would be the original 0 issue, or even Crossed Wish You Were Here, but this, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. So while I did personally enjoy this issue, the truth is that I just can't wait to talk about the next one, man, because in this one there's not that much to talk about, really, to be honest. But in issue 3, that's when shit gets really nuts. It's gonna be a lot of fun, guys, and I can't wait to go through it with you. So right on, children of the screens, thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Nerd Scum. Oh yeah, you know, I know someone's gonna mention it, so I'm gonna mention it first. Yeah, I said nothing happened in this book, but yeah, they definitely fucked that guy's eyes out earlier in the room. Like, that's eye holes missing. That they fucked the shit out of his eye hole sockets. That's what happened. That's what happens in this book. Dude got his eye hole sockets fucked. So yeah, stuff does happen. I know someone's gonna mention it, so anyway, like I said, hope y'all have a good one. Nerd Scum, out.